Sheesh.
And what's going on, everyone? Once again, welcome back to the Double M Show. We've been doing these every Tuesday during these quarantine times. Every Tuesday, we're doing the In the Crib edition because we still got to provide you guys with some content. And we know it's hard out here for everyone.
You know it's hard out here for a.
You ain't know. It's hard out here for everyone. Even for the PIMPs. They sold, man, they out of business.
They ain't getting no money anytime.
Hopefully that stimulus check came through for them. But we're still here. You still got Mr. Mike Nice in the building.
That is I, and I am he.
He survived mechanic season.
I'm here. I'm back. You know, it was looking real bleak for your boy. Looking real bleak for your boy last week, but I bounced back. I am here. I'm good to go. Just thank God for another year around the earth.
You know what I'm saying?
Around the sun. I'm stupid.
You said I didn't even peep. You could have got away with it.
I could have, but I sound stupid when I played it back in my another year around the sun.
Yeah, Mike, you made it another year. God bless. God bless.
Appreciate you, man.
Shout out to everyone who's watching right now. You guys know the deal, man. We have topics. We want you guys to jump in. Let's have this conversation on Double M. A lot to break down. Everything. If you've been following us the past 5 weeks, you know exactly what we're going to talk about today. But, you know, without any spoilers, Mr. Mike Nice, man, let the people know what we're talking about today.
So, this past Sunday night, The Last Dance, the 10-part documentary on Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls during their dynasty era, you know, just wrapped up. Episodes 9 and 10 played on May 17th. And, you know, we finally got through it all after 5 weeks of ESPN giving us this 2 hours full of great content, great stories, great videos, great comments, a bunch of stuff in this 10-part documentary. And, you know, we're going to break it down. Obviously, what we saw in episodes 9 and 10, but then everything in totality. After watching the full documentary, now that it's complete, we definitely want to get back to that and break it down because, my goodness, what a documentary that was.
We'll definitely talk about that for sure.
Also, NFL in this Rooney rule. This is an interesting rule that, you know, I'm not sure if other sports, you know, have this rule. I know, you know, jobs have, I had the name of it and I'm now drawing a blank on it. What's it? Equal opportunity employer. And I think there's another name for it that I've drawn a blank for. But, you know, NFL has this rule called the Rooney rule that it's a very interesting one. And, you know, they made some changes to it, you know, moving forward. And we're going to get into what the Rooney rule is for the NFL and just our thoughts about it. We want to hear your thoughts as well about this rule that the NFL has in terms of hiring minorities. And also, you know, we're filming the show. We're from Massachusetts. You know, we're here in Massachusetts. And Massachusetts is now, you know, in the process of going through different phases during this, you know, quarantine.
Phase 1.
Yeah, quarantine pandemic time. Massachusetts is now going through phases in hopes of, you know, reopening up everything and reaching some level of normalcy once again. And right now, again, Massachusetts is going in this process of phase 1 right now where, you know, certain things are slowly going to start to open. Hopefully in a couple weeks after they can move to phase 2 and so on and so forth. And hopefully by completing 4 phases of reopening fully in a sense. So we're going to talk about what that looks like, how it looks compared to other states and how other places are going about it and compared to how Massachusetts is going about it. And it's just interesting now that we've reached a point after what, 2-3 months, almost 3 months, almost 3 months of living, you know,
entering month
3 of living in, you know, quarantine during this pandemic time. We want to talk about that as well. So yeah, definitely a lot to talk about per usual, and we're going to get into it. But once again, we want to hear from you guys who are tuned in for sure.
Yeah, man, you spoke about a lot there. Let's start off with The Last Dance. The Last Dance has finally concluded. 10 episodes documentary. I think this is the most I've ever seen of a documentary series, 10-part series here. You know, concluded with obviously 1998 championship ring, the championship shot, the shot heard all around the world, Jordan.
Oof, beautiful.
And it really got into the sequences of behind the footages we've all wanted to see, the behind the scene footages. We finally got to see it.
Yeah.
Man. We got to see the celebration. We got to see people just love to be around Jordan, hanging out with him in the hotel room while he's playing the piano horribly, but they're just still having a good time.
He's probably a little drunk.
Oh, he was
Possibly.
faded. He was faded.
Champagne hitting.
And we got to see things that doesn't get talked about. And I think we can just jump right in it. We always give out the things that caught our attention, Mike.
Yeah.
One thing that caught my attention is that doesn't get talked about. Obviously, we know Jordan makes the shot. Right?
Big shot.
Big shot to win the game should have been his last shot. It's beautiful. But what doesn't get talked about in that game and throughout that series is Scottie Pippen, his number 2, was hurt. He was hurt throughout this. And then in game 6, he went for a dunk early in the game and his back pulled out on him. So he was done for. He was mostly a decoy. And how Jordan had to will his team to win that game was incredible.
Yeah, man. I mean, just that whole season in general, you start the season, no Scottie Pippen. Jordan has to carry that team, pretty much. Obviously, he has Rodman there, which is a solid player. Kukoc is solid. Steve Kerr, Luke Longley, a couple of these guys. But Jordan has to carry that team for the majority of the season. And, they finished with 60-plus wins. And, Pippen eventually comes back, but they make it all the way to the NBA Finals, even after a tough series with the Indiana Pacers, right. I believe. Then you get to the finals, and Pippen's hobbled. But in that game 7, it's back to like the beginning of the season where, look, Pippen can't go. He's out there, but he's a decoy. He can't go. So it's back to Jordan needs to carry this team. It's either win the championship or you don't win the championship. And it's very fitting that it falls on the man's shoulder that's pretty much carry that team, that organization over the last, almost 15 years. He's been carrying that organization in a sense, and it's so fitting that in it being the last dance season, the last game of the season, playoffs, whatever, it falls on his back, and he carries that team to a victory, to a 6th championship. It's a beautiful ending. I mean, it's technically not the end if you follow Jordan's career, but right. It's a beautiful ending to what is known as, the Chicago Bulls dynasty, and number 23, for the Chicago Bulls, and just that Phil Jackson era, whatever you want to call it. It's a beautiful ending. He hits that shot with his hand hanging in the air. They panned in onto some of the Utah Jazz fans who are just hurt. They're hurt. And he wins the game with that shot. It was not even that shot. That dude, just that whole sequence. He gets a layup to tie the game.
Yep.
Then the Jazz go down, and they're going to go to a patented play that they have. Karl Malone in the post. We're talking about the number 2 all-time scorer in NBA history. Post up. And Michael Jordan makes a great play to get a steal from Karl Malone, comes down and hits that shot. It's just a beautiful sequence.
That's if you wanna show people who Michael Jordan is, you show them that right there.
And he said whatever it was.
And it's funny hearing Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen's reaction to that. It was like, so what were you guys thinking when Jordan had the ball? Get the hell out the way.
Just move. Jordan got
that hell out the way. Because, previously, we saw that Jordan, as he got older, he trusted his teammates a lot. Mm-hmm. And he trusted his teammates to win games. Not just like he trusted his teammates to win games for them. But at that moment where everyone was at, you knew then and there Jordan was going to have to bring it on. And he did. And but speaking about trusting teammates, they had a nice little segment in this show, in these 2 episodes of Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
Steve Kerr, I think he got a nice little bright spot in here because everyone sees him. Obviously, Steve Kerr, guy averaged maybe 9-10 points a game, was just a 3-point shooter. But he showed, his importance of this on the team, the clutch shots that he made. And then they got to his background story about his father and his, unfortunate, tumultuous death that he suffered through. Mm-hmm. And it was nice to just see another person's story in Steve Kerr and see how tough Steve Kerr really is. Early in the series, we saw that he stood up to Jordan. He wasn't going to get punked by Jordan. He's the one who initiated the punch to Jordan. Then you see how tough he is and the things he had to battle through, his father passing away and him, so it was a good story. And to see how many championships he's won, and now we see him coaching and things like that. It was cool to see Steve Kerr in that light.
Yeah, I didn't know. I feel most people. Definitely didn't know that story about Steve Kerr, his father, and what he went through early in his life. And it's crazy to think that you're a teammate of Jordan, for a number of years. You're traveling together, you're playing together, you're staying at hotels together, on buses, dinner, whatever. You're together. And he said him and Jordan never had a conversation about it. And I mean, understand, you don't really want to tap into somebody who's probably still dealing with something very emotional. I'm sure if Jordan knew, maybe Jordan even didn't want to approach Kerr about it and ask him about it. Right. And Kerr probably didn't want to come. They both could possibly felt the same way. But, I think they had that bond. And, through different things that they went through, like you mentioned, the practice where Jordan ended up punching him because Kerr pushed him, Jordan knew that he could trust Kerr. I don't know. I wasn't on the team, but, wasn't never said in the documentary that Jordan really came out and said to Kerr, like, I trust you. But Kerr had that feeling that Jordan trusted him. And then you saw how Jordan trusted him. They showed that little timeout segment where, Jordan kind of turned and whispered low key, like, hey, be ready, because this play's going to happen and I'm going to find you. Steve Kerr turned, don't worry, Jordan. I'll be there. I promise you I'll be there if that's open. Mad loud. Like Jordan tried to be low key with it and Kerr, but again, it just goes to show you they had that trust, whether it was talked about or they was best of buddies, hanging out, whatnot. When it came to basketball and on the court, Jordan trusted him in one of the biggest moments for the team. So, it was good that Kerr got that moment to really, tell his part, just similar to Rodman and Pippen, a little bit of Horace Grant, Paxton, a couple of these guys who got a chance to talk. BJ Armstrong.
BJ got a lot of shine, man.
They cut him out a little bit these last couple. They said, all right, BJ, you got your time. But
he was no longer on the team. They couldn't add him no more. And so, Mike, you said something earlier about, Jordan's run, and at the end of the game, that was a beautiful ending.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a beautiful ending for the Bulls in general, right? So it ends up once again. Another thing that is remarkable about this whole thing, and like I'm really trying to wrap my head around any other organization in the world who has done something like this, and I can't picture it. We all know the team has won a championship.
Yep.
But by that time the team has won a championship, the whole team knows that they're done. It's over with. If you see Jordan, and there's the meme going all around the world now of him listening to his music and having a good time, like Jordan's free. He's pissed because he wants to run it back, but he knows it's over. This is it. This is my last run to the finals. He's joking around with everyone. He's having a good time. It's not the stressed, angry, mean Jordan that we've known to see now. He's relaxed, he's happy, he's listening to his music, he's enjoyable. He knows that this is the last dance for real. Let me just soak everything up. And then when it's over and it's done with, you got that owner, man. Ryan's World off, whatever his name is, that slick guy. He's a slick guy because they tried to paint the Jerry Krause as the villain. And the more and more you watch this, you start to see, Jerry Krause, he's a dummy. Let's not get it twisted. But the reason he had all that power is because of the owner.
Mm-hmm.
When Jerry Krause came out and said that if Phil Jackson's out of here, whether they go 82-0, it was over.
Yeah.
Jerry Weinshorst, whatever his name is, the owner.
Jerry R.
He had the power to chop it.
Yeah.
He'd say, hey, this is what Krause said. This is not our views. This is not the views of the Bulls. When we'll see what happens after the end. We would love to bring Phil Jackson back and the team back. So when after all that happens, and you try to rebuild and say, hey, Phil, come back. Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah. If you watch the documentary, if you really pay attention, it kind of, and I know the director came out and was like, it wasn't no intention of really trying to paint Jerry Krause as a bad guy. But, obviously how the Jordan and Pippen and the Bulls are treating him and whatnot, different things that it painted Krause to look like a bad guy. And some of it, is deservingly so because it was him who had the idea of breaking up that team. You know, it was him that said Phil Jackson, because of the beef and issues we possibly have, or I don't know why you felt the need to jump right into a rebuild on your team is so successful. Whatever the case is, it was Krause's idea to want to end the team. And the director said we weren't trying to paint him as a bad guy, but this is what was going on during the time. We're going to show it regardless. It's a part of the dynasty. But like you said, Marv, you know, it should have never been on Krause. Yes, Krause, the general manager, he has that role to want to make these decisions, and the owner gives you the right to make those decisions because he gives you the role as general manager because he believes that you'll make the right decisions. And don't get me wrong, Jerry Krause, I can't lie, when you talk all-time GMs, he built a hell of a dynasty. He could go down as one of the greatest GMs to ever be in the NBA.
Anytime you have 2-3 peats, it has
like, and you added the right piece. You had Jordan, yes, Pippen, but you know, you added Rodman, you added Kerr, like you added the pieces around to make that team successful along with a great coach. But my thing is, you're the owner, Jerry R. I don't care if Krause comes out and says X, Y, and Z. If you understand, I don't think Jerry R is a stupid man. I don't think Jerry Reinhorst, whatever, I don't think he's a stupid man. But anybody in the world could tell you to break up that team is stupid.
It's unheralded, like
stupid. And you, like you said, Mark, you easily Jerry Krause comes on the beginning and says, Phil Jackson, I don't care if you go 82-0, you're not coming back. If Jerry Reinhorst is not a stupid man, which I don't think he is, you easily come out and say, pump the brakes on that, Krause. We're not going to handle business like that. No, your team is so successful. We're not going to handle business like that. We'll reassess the situation as a collective front office. But right now, the team's rolling and we'll reassess the situation later. Don't let Krause come out and say stupidity like the team's going to be done no matter the outcome. Like, come on now.
Right? At the end of the day, Reince was the one who signs the checks. Jordan says something at the end saying, hey, you know, obviously this thing came up to money, right? A lot of players made more money than they were actually worth. Jordan was making what, 33 million, and we all know he probably should have been making 50 million.
Definitely
for the Chicago Bulls. And Pippen, we know his story. Rodman, we know his story and what he meant to this team. So Jordan says, hey, why not come to us and say, let's do 1-year contracts? I know I would have done 1 year. And he's the biggest piece. If Jordan says, I'm going to do a 1-year contract to try to see if we can go for number 4.
That's it.
And he mentioned how Scotty would be the only one that would take convincing. Yeah. Because we know Scotty had his issues, deservingly so. But you say, hey, Scotty, 1 year, 12 million, something like 1 year, 12 million.
Like put your ego aside and let's see if we could just run it back.
Get healthy.
That's it. Let's just see if we could run it back.
Get a couple more little pieces in here. Kerr, Rodman, let's try to run it back. And then it was going to be a lockout. So that as older as they were, it would have probably been beneficial for them. So it's just, man, it's crazy how it all turned out. I know there's a lot of people in the comments here. Let's see what's going on in the comments.
While you read the comments, before you get to those, I just want to reiterate, like you said, you know, I understand Pippen had his feeling and whatnot and these different guys. And I think that what the owner was trying to say, I think I read another article, like, you know, a part of their mindset was the fact that they knew these guys are coming off a championship season. These guys are going to go make bank somewhere else. These guys are going to go somewhere and get paid. Like, obviously, yeah, Scotty went and got paid after that. I don't know where Rodman went somewhere. Kurt, like these different guys went somewhere, obviously. So I think they were saying that's what a part of them was worrying about, if they were going to be able to retain these guys. But like Jordan said, Jordan's about 35. Pippen's on the other side of 30. Rodman's older. Like some of these guys are older, but found success these last couple of seasons. You know, I really do feel if you sat them all down in a room and said, look, we got 1 year to see if we can do it again. We do it again, then we'll, come back and maybe figure out if they were able to do it 4 times in a row, which would be wild. Then you come back after that 98, 99 season and figure out, okay, what are we going to do now if you win it again? But if you lose, let everybody go their own way and get your rebuild started. But I think they deserved, for themselves and for the fans, to try to run it back one more time. You can't just disband everything on top. I think no matter what the sport is, no matter how old the players are, as long as you have your health, I don't care what your age is. If you just win a championship, I think you deserve the right to try to run it back again and see if you can make it happen again. Right. Especially if you have a 3-peat going on.
A dynasty.
Dynasty, yes.
You don't break up a dynasty unless your best player retires or leaves.
Yep.
Or you lose.
Yeah.
Those are the only 2 times you should break up a dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
Your best player retires or leaves the team. Such as, like, if the Patriots are in the middle of a dynasty and Brady had left, then you break up whatever happens. Or if you lose, those are only 2 times. So Czar brings up a different point of view. I'm gonna try to skim through some of the stuff he's saying. He says if you believe that Krause or Reinsdorf is one of the reasons behind the Bulls' demise, then you're missing the point. He says, I think the reason they were so good at their roles was because they were able to do their jobs without allowing their relationships with the men and franchise jeopardize their willingness to make tough decisions. After 6 years, everyone's contract would have to be reconsidered. Everyone would have had to need a pay raise. You make it work.
You make
it work.
For the love of the game and just trying to compete.
You make it work. The way that Bulls franchise ended is not the right way. What have they won since? They became the worst team, and they never risen from it. They have never risen from it. You make it work somehow. This is unheralded of a team that has won a championship, blows it up due to money, due to unwillingness to pay. And it's not like they were paying their players anyway. The only one who was getting paid on that team was Jordan.
Yeah, the contracts on that team weren't huge.
They weren't huge at all, and they made so much. We're talking about in the 90s when the TV deals just shot up, when Michael Jordan has brought so much money to the Bulls. They're gonna be able to make it work with those contracts.
Yeah,
they're gonna make it work.
Absolutely,
especially if what Jordan proposed with the 1-year deals. Let's try it out one more time. The real one last dance.
Yeah, that's the real one. I saw my brother made a comment saying, Rodman didn't play a lot after. Pippen was an average player at best after that. So he wonders what would have 1 more year really looked like. And, you don't know. Again, Jordan was 35 years old at the time. Pippen's 30-something. Most of these guys are 30+. Like, I don't think any of those core guys on their unit was
Pippen would have still been good. Pippen went into a role where he was the third man.
Yeah, it was like Clyde Drexler, Olajuwon, Barkley.
It was Barkley, Olajuwon, then him. Pippen went to where his role was diminished.
Clyde was gone. Okay.
Pippen's role was diminished, and it wasn't a good year for him. His minutes were down and everything like that. Believe if he's in the Bulls where he's comfortable, he knows the system, and he's in the triangle. I think
Pippen would have been solid still.
Pippen would have been fine. The only person I can agree with is Rodman. Where was his head going to be at? I think with the Bulls system and Phil Jackson, he would have been a lot better than where he went to.
They had everything
Lakers
clicking
in Dallas.
As much as we look at Rodman and be like, yo, how the hell he get away with skipping practice during the finals and doing different things? It's crazy. But obviously, years later, you could look back at it now and say, damn, it worked for them. It worked for Rodman, and Phil Jackson didn't have a problem. So,
and I'm not guaranteed they win.
Yeah, it's not a guarantee. Like, so many factors, going into the next season, age, health, other teams moving around and transactions, but you have to just try.
You have to do it the right way. You have to. What Czar saying? MJ was making bread from endorsement. NBA contracts from the Bulls weren't that impressive. Would they have been able to pay the guys? If you're doing 1-year contracts, they would have been able to pay them. And the guys would have have to make sacrifices.
That's exactly big word right there. Sacrifice. Obviously, it's 2 options basically on the table. You run it back with a team that's been successful and see if you can win 4 in a row, or obviously you possibly, because when teams like that, they have role players who are decent, who win a championship. Other teams are, hey, just because he's on that team, we're gonna throw money your way. So these guys like Kerr and Bushler and these guys probably could go to another team and make much more money than they were making on the Bulls, just because they were part of that team. That's usually how it goes sometimes. So it's two options for these players on the Bulls after the 98, 90, 97, 98. You come back and run it back, or you go somewhere and make more money. And I think these guys would have made the sacrifice.
And the thing about it as well, Czar, is like, if we was talking about just the contracts, right? If we were just talking money and contracts and that was the issue, this would be a lesser topic.
Yeah.
But it didn't get to that. It didn't even get to the contracts. It didn't get talked about the talk. The GM, the year before, was already saying that this team, this is it.
It's not no conversation.
The whole team knew. The whole team knew that this was going to be it. No matter what, there was not going to be a conversation. They won a championship in '97, and while they're celebrating, announcers are asking, "Hey, are you going to be back next year?" Like the whole world already knew how sour this relationship was, and that's the issue. Now, if we're talking contracts and things like that, let's get there. Then it's more understandable. Like, oh, they just couldn't make it work. They couldn't fit Pippen in there.
Yeah.
Pippen wanted to leave. Then, okay, let's have that conversation. But it didn't even get there.
It was already done for a year prior, which is crazy to think about. Which is why I think we sit here and we put a lot of the blame, on Jerry Reinhorst, because he allowed Krause to, put a death sentence on the dynasty before the dynasty can even be fulfilled, in a sense. He already shut it down before they could raise that 6th trophy, which is sad, but that's what he did. And it should have been Reinhorst to jump in and say, nah, we're going to play the season out, see how it goes, and we'll reassess the situation after. But, I think it bothers, Jordan, obviously you saw in the documentary, it bothers Jordan the fact that they couldn't do it. And I think in a sense, all those players who on that team were part of that three-peat, that second three-peat, it's in the back of their mind like, damn, could we have done it again? They probably don't talk about it as much as Jordan, because obviously all the attention is going to go Jordan's way. But I think as just an athlete, a competitor, you want to know, damn, if all the fellas came back again, the chemistry, everything we had, could we have done it again? It sucks. It sucks for them, but it is what it is.
Yeah, man. It makes for a crazy story.
My thing is, question for you, I see Czar in there, see my brother Jay in there. Question for y'all. So say they came back. We think of the Bulls now, the three-peat, great dynasty, whatever. Say they came back 98, 99, lost the championship. So they're known for the great three-peat, the great three-peat early 90s, great three-peat late 90s. They lost the last one. Would it change anything about their legacy or what they're known for? Something change?
In hindsight, it works out, right? Because they leave
at the top.
They leave at the top. They go 6-0. Jordan 6-0.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a beautiful number. That's like, it's magical.
Yeah.
You went and you never lost when you went to the final. So in hindsight, yes. But as a competitor, you always want to know, damn, could I have gotten there? Could we have been stopped? At the end of the day, there would have been many factors. We said, oh, okay, well, they finally got knocked down. And we've seen every team get knocked down but the Bulls. We've seen the Celtics get knocked down by the Pistons. The Lakers get knocked down by the Pistons. We've seen the teams that were at their hierarchy get knocked down. The only team we've never seen get knocked down was the Bulls, because they just never had the opportunity to.
So they don't have that chink in their armor. They're just known as the team that, got to the finals every time in the 90s and always won. So I guess in a sense, it continues to hold them at a standard above the rest. But at the same time, the competitors that the players were, they wanted to try again. And it sucks that in a way that it didn't get to happen.
I agree. As I said, they will still go down in history as the greatest, and that's true. If they were to go 6-1, the story would have been they finally got knocked out by maybe it would have been the Pacers or
the
maybe
Knicks,
the Spurs. So they finally got knocked down, and then we move on. We move on with history. That was the team that had 2 3-peats. Yep. But when you're 6-0, there's something magical about that. There's that mystique factor of, oh my God, like, did they never Did they never lose? Like, it just there's a different mystique to it
Mhm.
when you're undefeated, I believe. I want to switch gears. I still want to talk about Last Dance, but just ranking it into documentaries you've seen. We'll stick to sports documentaries. Where do you put it in sports documentaries that you have seen? Some people are saying it's the greatest sports documentary they've ever seen. And I don't know if that's just recent bias. I'll say my opinion. The documentary is good. The documentary is very, very good. But anytime you do a documentary about somebody and they're like the executive producer, you don't get everything, right? So like Jordan's behind this, right? Jordan's the one who gives the say so. So Jordan's behind it. So not everything gets put out in light, and so it gets commercialized. And they made it's a great documentary.
Splendid.
I got to see my favorite player who grew up and always hear about someone I idolized, got to really learn about him, and that's amazing. But then I look at a story like OJ Made in America, and there's no hold back, right? Oh, there's no OJs behind it, so we got to make sure you shine the light on that. You get into every nitty gritty detail, all the stories, and then obviously it's like a murder mystery. So murder mysteries are very interesting in itself, and so I like OJ Made in America above The Last Dance, just because it's not commercialized to one person. This is to make the Jordan and the Bulls look amazing, not showing everything. They don't show all the aspects of it, even though you see Jordan as his realness. Another documentary I really enjoy, and this is not a docu-series, so it's hard to compare it, but Benji.
Oh my gosh.
Benji was well done.
Benji had me ready to tear up.
I think Benji left a bigger impact with me than The Last Dance, so I put that ahead of the Jordan documentary. And then another one that I really liked was I wouldn't put it on over Jordan, but I really like Andre the Giant's documentary.
Never seen it. Damn.
I think Andre the Giant's documentary is amazing. Check that out, bro. That's a really
HBO, right?
Yep, HBO. Very touching documentary. Especially if you didn't, you see a big 7-footer, you don't see the personality and the lives and what they have to suffer through. So I really like that as well. Those are just some sports documentaries come to mind. HBO Showtime did a Muhammad Ali documentary. That was good. I wouldn't put that up to where The Last Dance was. But yeah, Last Dance is amazing. Great. You get to see everything, but I think that I wouldn't put it as the greatest sports documentary of all time.
Yeah, I think, it's easy for me because I'm such a big Michael Jordan fan and whatnot. It's easy for me to watch that and I enjoyed every bit of it and say, damn, greatest ever. Greatest thing ever. It's very easy. And then, I was reading something earlier. I forgot from where, but it was talking about just different things about the documentary, things that maybe it missed or should have inputted or whatnot. But it brought up OJ Made in America, and it talked about the reason why. So some of the stuff similar to your saying, Marv, but at the same time, OJ Made in America had a big cultural impact, especially during that time that was happening. I mean, that's huge. Like the cultural impact that OJ Made in America had was massive. And that story, about him, the football player, than him with Nicole Simpson in the murder mystery.
Made in America is the best. That one is...
I thought about it. I went back and was like, yo, that documentary really hit a lot of points. Sports, murder mystery, a big time celebrity, like obviously it's fallen so drastically now, but OJ was huge. He wasn't Jordan, nothing like Michael Jackson, like nothing like, but OJ was huge, and just his fall from grace, the whole black and white storyline, then the murder, it had a lot of elements to it, man. And again, like you said, for the most part, obviously the Last Dance touched upon, Jordan's gambling and retirement, some sad stuff, down stuff that made the dynasty look down or whatnot. But for the most part, it elevated Jordan even more. It elevated the Bulls even more. So I couldn't even call The Last Dance really a roller coaster ride of thoughts and feelings and emotions. It just was like, damn, the Bulls are great. Damn, Jordan was great.
The directors, they all did an amazing job. Music and
amazing documentary. But if you talk about, you watch something, sometimes you want to sit there and watch it like, oh my goodness, that roller coaster feeling and effect. And OJ Made in America really did that. Whether you knew some of the information, you was new to the information, OJ Made in America was a freaking up and down. Oh, whoa, wow. So like those two right there, I'm still in the battle of which one's greater, but I can't diminish OJ Made in America because that is a really good documentary. It was a 5-part?
5 parts. Yeah.
5 parts. So, they took those 5 parts and dove into a lot. So OJ Made in America and The Last Dance are probably the top 2 documentaries I've ever seen as of right now, for sure. What are these comments saying?
Dirk's talking about how he believes, Last Dance was better. Jay saying OJ was good. Czar said yes, but the point of a documentary isn't meant to move you. That's what shows do. Docs are just supposed to tell the truth. I disagree. You could tell. That's what makes a good filmmaker. A good documentary can move you, even when you are telling the truth. Like let's use The Last Dance, the most recent one. This wasn't supposed to be a 10-part series. This was just footage of background footage that they had in 98.
If it was just 98, it wouldn't have been 10 parts.
It was the guy the Jay here, the director, got scenes from things that happened, footage from 98. Now, hey, can you make a story out of this? You're still telling the truth, but can you make a story out of this? And he delivered a hell of a story. Yeah. So I still think you can get moved by documentaries and still hand out the truth.
Yeah, and I think, I'm not the director, but from watching the documentary, what I got out of it is, as he told stuff that's happening in the 97, 98 year, with each player, each moment, each situation that he touched upon, every time they did a little flashback on the timeline, he brought it back to a point of why did they get to this point of being who they are, this situation? Why was it this situation in 97, 98? Why did it get to this point? Because this X, Y, and Z happened back in 89 or 91 or 92. Like, I think he did a hell of a job telling that story when he was trying to compare or contrast whatever situations from 97, 98, the main, focal season that they were really keyed in on with seasons way back when. I think that there in itself to me was really well done.
Right. It was done. And like to Czar's point, that's what I mean about telling the whole truth. Like at the end of the day, and this happens to a lot of documentaries. Say they're making a documentary about me, and I'm the one who's going to be executive producer. I'm the one who's going to be making sure this is right and this is the third. And I have a lot of influence on what that documentary is going to be about. I get to nix what I want in, what I don't want in on it. But if it's a documentary and I have no say, and you're talking to Mike, and you're talking to this person, you're talking to my parents, and you're talking, and they start to get the real story out of it, it's different. That's my only thing. And I don't blame Jordan. Jordan's not a guy who comes out and says his story. This is the first time we really get a Jordan interview. So I'm not blaming it at all. There was a lot of things that were X'd out of it or, brushed under the cover to make it seem how great he was. And he was great. But that's why I put other documentaries a little over it, just for that. And if you guys haven't seen
Benji's amazing. I've only seen it once. I've never seen it again.
That's me too.
Whatever year it came out.
I watched it twice. I watched
it came out.
I watched it twice.
I've never seen it again, but like I know for a fact, still to this day, that documentary was touching. That moved me.
Yeah, moved you, touching, and this because I think it's another thing too. When you fall into a documentary or something you don't even know anything about. I
didn't know anything about a Benji, nothing.
And then you stick with it and you watch it, that gives it a different take. Like the Jordan, and I'm only speaking personally. Maybe this is another reason why I knocked Jordan's down a little bit. I knew a lot of the things about Jordan personally. Like there wasn't many episodes where I was like, "Oh my God, really? That Jordan?" Like, because that's one of my favorite players. So I've always studied him. I've always looked at his games, things like that. I mean, there was details that I was shocked about, like his father, for example.
Yeah.
No idea his father was missing for 3 weeks. I knew he got murdered, but the 3 weeks, Mr. Real, how the news covered Jordan, things I didn't know those details, which is awesome to see. But Jordan, the individual, and his basketball and what he went through, and those I knew. So maybe that's why I didn't move me like the other ones moved me per se, but that's just me speaking personally and how I felt.
We could talk about this documentary and whatnot. Again, like we've been doing the last 5 weeks, damn near 40 minutes.
40 minutes every day, and it deserves
talking
more.
about this documentary.
It deserves more.
Last thing I want to ask everybody tuned in, ask you, Marv, is, obviously before this documentary, people held Jordan to a certain standard or had a perception about him, who he was, whatever, as a basketball player, different stuff like that. After watching all 10 parts of this documentary, does anything about your perception of Jordan change? Do you feel any greater about something, any less of it? Like, does anything about your feeling towards him change?
I think I asked you this like in the first week or two with this, and no, nothing I felt about Jordan to me really changed. I knew about how great he was, how tough. I mean, the biggest shock was 98 season, right? 98 season, you still, when you hear about the three-peat, you just hear about, okay, Jordan, Scottie, and Rodman.
They won it again, yeah.
Yeah, they won, and that's what they went to. But to hear that, 98, he was really doing it by himself. And 98, that's when the wheels started to turn for Rodman, and he wasn't all there. And just to see him carry that team in 98 and then will his team to victory, that's impressive. That's more impressive than I had visioned before. But I knew about the scoring champs and the slam dunk contests and how big he was at the time. So no, it didn't how great he was already to me. I don't think anyone could get any greater. I don't put him up there with the Muhammad Ali's and things like that nature due to the other side of things. But we're talking about on-court talent. No, nothing changes with me with Jordan. I revere him greatly. We knew he was a jerk. We didn't know how much of a jerk he was. We got to see it, and most of the time I was laughing, like, "Oh, man, that's funny." But it didn't change my perception of him. I still think he's great. I always thought he was great, and yeah, I know some people who didn't know about Jordan that much probably saw a whole different view. Like, oh man, the NBA was harder and tougher. NBA was tougher than, and he had to really fall before he got up, and that's a great story to see and so forth. What about you?
I think again, pretty similar to you, Jordan. I pretty much knew of all the accolades and everything that he's done and whatnot. But one thing that I knew, but I definitely got a better understanding and appreciation of is just his competitiveness and will to win. Like, I knew Jordan, the all-time competitor. I knew all of that already. But just to get a deeper look into, like, you hear a little bit light stories, Jordan was tough in practice. But then to see it and hear it from other players and then get footage that we never seen before, where he's calling dudes in practice bees and hoes and different stuff. Like, that's to a level of like, whoa, like, damn, Jordan, people will call, Jordan was mean or he was a bad teammate, this and that. I personally, this is only from my perspective, because I think even Horace Grant came out and with some comments early today.
Later.
Yeah, he came out with a lot. Him and Jordan was some weird beef there or something. But Horace Grant came out saying that's all of that he was doing in practice was uncalled for, wasn't right. From my personal opinion, because then I heard other players, other people say they would have definitely welcomed the way Jordan was in practice. Some people like it, some people don't like it. Me personally, I'm like, Jordan did all of this, and I truly believe that he wasn't this way towards Kerr or Steve Perel or any of these guys because he hated them. He had beef with them. He was mad that they were on the team or whatnot. He, similar to Kobe Bryant, rest his soul, similar to Kobe, he was doing what he did, being an asshole, I guess, to try to get the best out of his teammates, not because he thought they. I mean, obviously Jordan or Kobe, they know their teammates aren't on their level. They know that they're not stupid. But at the end of the day, it's a team sport, and you got to play with these guys in order to help you win. So I think Jordan and Kobe again, they were like that just to try to get the best out of their teammates. And I got a better understanding and appreciation of his competitiveness, his will to win, and why he was the way he was.
Right.
Everybody has different styles of how they want to lead, but I just got a better understanding and appreciation of Jordan's style of leadership that led his team to be one of the greatest, of all time.
Of course, man. Yeah, just to see how crazy in a sense he was in winning, and how he needed to find an edge. And one thing I did remark that I never knew about Jordan, and I think I said this early on the pod too, how lonely he was. This is a man whose best friends were security guards. This was a man who couldn't talk to anyone else that could relate to what he was going through. This is the biggest superstar in the 90s. He can't go anywhere. He needs to hide in his hotel and smoke cigars just to have a little bit of peace. The loneliness of a superstar like that, I felt a little bad for him at times watching it. Like, wow, this like Czar was saying, you got to see the human side of him, and just to see all the things he had to endure, and how he always came and proved it too. He knew that, hey, all of this fame, fortune, all that can go away if I don't go out and prove it every single night. And that's what he did. He never cheated the fans. He never cheated the game. And, you grow a great appreciation of that.
I see my brother Jay saying, Jordan's an asshole, and he already had knowledge of that. But like, damn. And I remember my brother, always would tell me before this documentary, my brother tell me, Jordan had teammates who hated him. Like, they never tapped into none of like the Bill Cartwright story.
Yeah,
they didn't tap into some
That's
stories.
What I'm talking about.
And even Horace Grant in that article, Horace Grant talked about like, yo, Jordan would do some of that stuff to the other players, but he would if he tried to come at me like that, it wasn't flying with me. So there's stories out there of teammates probably clapping back at Jordan that they didn't touch to in the documentary.
If you're gonna get to Jordan, ration everyone, you gotta get to people clapping back.
So he had his leadership style. Some players appreciate it, some players didn't appreciate it. But if you really want to measure what his leadership style was like, the man was 6-0 in the finals and had a dynasty during the 90s. So
yeah.
I think that's what it all boils down to. But at the end of the day, Marv, great documentary.
Great
Last Dance was
documentary.
2 years waiting for it. It lived up to the hype, the wait.
Sure did.
It was amazing to watch. I know I will watch it again one day without any commercial breaks or anything, just to see it fully through.
It'll be on Netflix.
And I look forward to that, man. I look forward to doing that. And y'all who've been in the comments, who've been having these conversations with us after the episodes, appreciate y'all for y'all 2 cents. Every time we have these Last Dance conversations. But yeah, man, it was great.
Yeah, so let's move on, man. Let's move on to the Rooney Rule of the NFL. So for people who don't know, the Rooney Rule has existed for a long time, since I believe 2003. I'll go back and check. The Rooney Rule's been since 2003, and basically is when hiring any minorities, if you're in a sport, NFL, NBA. I don't know if they have it in the MLB or NHL. I know they don't have it in the NHL.
Goodness, bro, come on.
They don't need it. And in the NBA, in the NFL, when you are hiring any position, whether it's GM, coaches, offensive coordinators, you must bring in a minority for the job, just to interview. You must bring someone of minority to interview. You can hire whoever you want, but you got to bring someone of minority to interview. So that's been the case for the past 17 years now. And if you know anything about the NBA and the NFL, it's predominantly black, maybe 65% plus African Americans. But that doesn't show when it comes to the coaches, ownership, GM roles. Is the players are predominantly black, and then the coaches are mostly white, and the GM is mostly white. Maybe there'll be 2-3 out there sprinkled in, but that's That's how it's always been. And the conversation about that has always been there. Like there should be more African American coaches, especially in NFL. Now flash forward. I think when does Rooney Rule come out? It's being proposed this week, I believe.
It was released yesterday. A statement was released about the new rule. I guess moving forward, it came out yesterday as Monday.
Do you have the new rules for it?
Yes. So the new rules with the Rooney Rule says the teams will be required to interview at least 2 minority candidates for an open head coaching position, 1 minority candidate for any one of the 3 coordinator positions, and 1 external minority candidate for the senior football operations or general manager position. Teams and the league office must include minority and female candidates when interviewing for senior level office positions as well. Just to go about what you said about the number of
You didn't get to the what happens if they do it, if they do hire minorities.
A resolution to reward teams that hire minority candidates will improve with improved draft picks, however, has been tabled.
Okay.
But during a conference call Monday, Goodell said, our work here is not done. So I guess they're going to figure out ways to compensate teams that make this happen. But going off what you said about the number of coaches and stuff in the NFL who are minorities, this article said that there are currently 4 minority head coaches in the NFL, and it's one of the lowest numbers since the rule initially was implemented in 2003.
In 2003, there was 3. There was 3.
And we're pretty much right back where it is in 2020. So, I gotta commend the NFL for doing this, because you got to think back when this league, and most of these leagues first started, there was no thought of black players or black coaches, GMs, front office. No thought in any league. When most of these leagues started, there was no thought of putting black people, not even in front office positions or coaches, whatever, not even on a team. You fast forward over time, you get black players on the team and whatnot, and time continues to move forward. You maybe got a couple coaches, maybe got a couple assistant coaches, a couple of GMs and whatnot, a couple of people in the front office. Obviously, are the numbers, are they like half and half? No, but this rule right here that the NFL has in place that they've, in a sense, fixed. I wouldn't say fixed, but they adjusted it a little bit. They want diversity. I got to give it to the NFL for wanting to make sure there's diversity in the league. Now, again, owners can say, hey, we're just going to bring in this person just to bring them in because whatever. It's part of the rule. Let's do it. But at least I got to give it to the NFL and Goodell for like enforcing that. Look, you got to at least go about the business of looking at minority candidates for these positions. And, there's only 4 in the league, but the jobs are out there for minorities to obtain.
This doesn't, excuse my French, this doesn't mean shit.
You don't think so at all?
It doesn't mean shit. I remember hearing about it, and what is it really going to? First of all,
it might not change anything. Yeah. Yes, but the NFL at least has the rule in place. Like, you got to at least go about the business of making this happen.
Right. No, the NFL obviously sees there's an issue. Right. Yeah. They see that there's an issue. How freaking sad is it
that they have to do that?
How sad is it that right now in 2020 we're going to compensate you for hiring a minority?
Yeah,
we are going to, you know what we're going to do now? Oh, you're in the 3rd round, you're number 90 in the 3rd round. We'll make you number 74.
Oh, you got a black coach, you got a Hispanic coach. Oh, we'll move you up a little.
It
doesn't sound good. It doesn't. It sounds kind of.
And then now you got to think about the black coach that does get hired, the black GM that does get hired.
He's just here because he's minority.
Now you're just here because of the incentive, but not only that. The pressure, not only do you have to outperform, you got to outperform everybody at your job, because now everyone's looking at you as you're only here due to this Rooney Rule. So show us if you're really a coach. Are you even a real coach? You might not even be a real coach. We just might want you here to be a placeholder for us to do what we have to do. So now the black coach not only he has to outwork his peers, he has to outwork them by a lot. He has to do a lot more just to prove that he deserves a spot. As a coach, a GM, or whatever, you should be getting picked by your merit, what you know, how you work.
Don't matter.
And in NFL, it doesn't matter. And I don't know the right way to do it, because at the end of the day, if you're an owner, you're a white owner, you pick people who you are comfortable with. You always hear people like, oh, I see a lot in myself in him. Oh, I see a lot in myself. You're not going to say that about an African-American you don't know, who's not in your circle, who's not in your realm. People hire people that they are comfortable with, that look just like them. When you sign the checks, it don't matter what Goodell tells you to do. I signed the checks for my team. This is my team. I own it. I'm going to hire whoever I want. And the pressure, I just see the pressure that these black coaches are going to have to go through now due to this Rooney Rule. It's going to be so unfortunate. It's going to be so unfortunate. And we already know, you can, as compared to white coaches and black coaches, how long their jobs last is very different. True. Very different. You have one bad season as a black coach, you're out of there. It's unfortunate, man.
I mean, there was that dude for Cincinnati,
Marvin Jones. That's
Marvin
because
Jones.
He was messing with somebody's daughter over there.
Mike Tomlin's been around for a while, but his team's been pretty successful.
Good.
I hear what you're saying, Marv. I really do. You know, it puts pressure on that minority who gets a role. It puts pressure on them, and then at the same time, teams are only doing it because. Or they just want to move up and get compensated with whatever the league decides to compensate. But again, I really feel as if a league like the NFL has been around for years. The majority of their owners, are white guys, or it's in a white family. And for the most part, unless they sell the team for millions and $1 million, you see a lot of these owner situations. It goes from the grandfather, passes to his son, passes to his son. So it's not really leaving the family. So when I see that and the NFL makes a rule like this, it just tells me that the NFL, somebody in the NFL, I don't know who, maybe it's not Goodell or whatever, but somebody sees this and like, look, if it's going to keep going this route, where it's going to be passed from the grandfather to the grandson to the dad to like the uncle, like if it's going to keep going this route, the higher end is not going to change and look any different. So yeah, everything you're saying is true. Where teams are just doing it for the prize or putting pressure, but again, I see at least the NFL has something in place where, like, look, some kind of diversity has to happen here. I don't know how you want to go about it. And hey, again, there's numbers are low, but now you see, I think San Francisco, they hired a woman. I don't know if they just did it because of this rule or whatnot, but at least the hirings are being made. It's something's happening.
So San Francisco hired a woman, right? And they got a lot of praise for hiring a woman NFL coach, but for all the right reasons. They did it because they believe she's a real coach. There wasn't because of the Rooney Rule that wasn't set there. For the first couple years right now, if coaches get hired in a higher rate, which I doubt will happen, I think they're going to get hired at the same rate as it was. But if coaches do get picked at a higher rate, the discussion is going to be because of the Rooney Rule, and you're not doing it for their merit. So these coaches are going to have to outperform what they need to do to keep their job and keep the status of what they believe in. Czar says something here. He says, the thing is, situations like these, I try to be real careful because we got to see numbers before we can say X, Y, and Z. And I hear you. That is true. We do got to see numbers. But once again, this is just the Rooney Rule modified. The Rooney Rule's been here since 2003.
So in your opinion, should the Rooney Rule just be nixed in general altogether? Would you not have a rule in place in the NFL, NBA where like teams have to go about the? I mean, you know what I think. I mean, I don't know if it'd make a difference or not, but take the compensation part out of it. I think that part is that doesn't you're gonna get compensated if you hire somebody. Like take that part of it. But then again, if you just have the rule in place, team, it's not really a rule, I guess.
I see, and I agree with your point. The NFL believe that this is the right way to go about it. I get it. I'm saying there has to be another. I haven't thought of the other way yet. Maybe give me another week in Double M, and I'll have a more formulated idea. But as of right now, it's just I don't think this is going to work. I don't think this is going to work. And all I believe is going to put more pressure on black coaches to perform. Unnecessary pressure. And they're going to get fired off like they usually do. Black coaches get picked. They just don't stay long.
It's a tough situation. I mean, I think
Czar saying, like people saying we need more black coaches, directors, teachers, actors, doctors, but when we make up 12%, how many of them are there? There's plenty, Czar. I mean, we're talking about the NFL where it's predominantly black, and a lot of them go on to pursue careers in coaching, but they end up coaching high school teams. They end up coaching little leagues, or just being interns, or just being behind the boards, or going into media. A lot of them stay stuck in media because they can't go further. I can't speak on the other occupations you brought up, but if we're talking about sports in general, a lot of people try to bring up that 12%. A lot of people try to bring up that 12% rule, but it's not 12% in that round. It's 12% in the United States. Yeah, we're 12% here in the United States, but we're not 12% in the league. We make up the league.
I think with most rules, like
I hope that makes sense, bro.
It's going to be pros and cons whenever rules are put in place. Pros as to, oh man, why this rule works great, and it's going to be cons. Man, this rule is not it. But the rules there, and you said there's something similar in the NBA as well.
Yeah, it's the same thing, but it's not incentivized. You must interview at least one black candidate,
but it's working.
Minority candidate.
You look at the NFL's coaching staff and front office, whether the rule or compensation is there in the NBA. They got black coaches, assistant coaches, referees, some couple general managers. That it's there. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, but I definitely feel like it's higher in the NBA for sure than it is in the NFL. I don't know why. What's the reason? But whatever they're doing, whatever rule they have in place is working over there.
I mean, there's not many black head coaches in NBA, but
either way,
you could say it's better than NFL. It's not great. It's not great.
It's not great anywhere in any professional sport. You can only name
maybe 5 or 6 black head coaches in NBA.
I don't think it's at a number that is equal in any area. I think in any sport, you at least be 50-50. Like, everybody should have, an opportunity.
Yeah, it's not a perfect world. It's not going to be a perfect system for it, but it's not right now.
True.
Right now, it's not right in both leagues. It is not right, especially when we're talking about, okay, owners want to be able to relate to their GMs.
Yeah.
And the GMs want to be able to relate to their coaches, and the coaches want to be able to relate to their players. What happens when there's a disconnect between the players and the GMs? There's a disconnect between the players and the coaches.
Hey man, you're making some valid points for sure. But sheesh. Good conversations. We had an hour. Wow, we still got plenty to talk about, man. Plenty to talk about. Let's switch it up just a little bit. Let's talk about your boy. Is he not your boy?
Don't ever do that.
Sorry. Not your boy. Let's talk about this guy. And I'm gonna let you handle this because I'm gonna tell y'all straight up. I don't follow this man. Nothing he does. None of the music he makes. I can't even lie. Whatever his court cases, to me, for me, the knowledge and is still fuzzy because I just don't give a damn. I think I said this on a show we did way back when this was a conversation about this dude, and I said it then. I'm gonna say it now. I don't have much knowledge because I just really don't care. And if I don't care, I'm gonna keep it pushing and mind my business and go about my thing. But Tekashi 6ix9ine,
Yeah, I think I know you don't care, but I think Tekashi is very important actually. I think
Speak on
he's
it, please. Speak
I
on it.
think he's very important,
Speak on it.
especially in the culture that we're in. And I think that what he's doing shouldn't get ignored at all because he's
Well, get me hip.
polarizing.
Get me hip.
Takashi's polarizing. He's really pushing the limits to these hip hop codes and what we believe is right, what we believe is wrong, into through whatever it is. And I don't know if hip hop right now knows how to handle what Tekashi 69 is doing. So obviously we know Tekashi went to jail for maybe almost a year. He got out because he was an informant. He snitched. He was a rat, and everyone knows what that means in the streets in the hip hop code. When you're a rat, you're done. You're finished. He's in like protection witness right now. No one knows where he is. He can't be touched. He's on house arrest. And then he comes out, obviously, he makes the IG lives. We know he breaks records, right? He gets 2 million views on IG live, drops music video, breaks records with the music video, goes crazy on Billboard. And it gets me wondering, what does he mean to hip hop? And I'm asking the viewers, I'm asking you, and when is enough enough? Because you got the big time rappers like Meek Mill, the Snoop Dogs, and everyone's saying, "Oh, we don't mess with rats, or we're not going to support who he is." But at the end of the day, he's killing the charts. He's someone I don't know his music. I don't look to see what Tekashi 69 is doing. I don't follow him, but he's there, and he's part of the culture. He's part of what is going on right now. He's part of, if you go anywhere right now, it's Tekashi 69. What is he doing? He's in all the blogs. What made him? What made him so polarizing? The kid who talks a lot of smack, Mexican who talks a lot of smack, and I feel like
Mexican.
He's Mexican.
I don't even know what he is.
He's a Mexican kid, talks a lot of smack to a lot of higher ups. He just ratted on a big gang. I fear for his future. I truly fear for his future that he's not going to last long the way he acts. You think when you come out of jail, you'll be very humble and relax a little bit. So still, if you have an opportunity to make your music and be what you want to be, by any means, do your thing. But at least try to be humble. And he's going the opposite route. So I think my boy Wee said he's a great case study to see how far is hip hop going to let Tekashi go, especially with the whole he's a rat, and everyone wants to come out and say, oh, we don't mess with rats, we don't talk to snitches, this, that, and the third, we don't do this. But then he's still pushing the envelope.
It's weird because you think I don't follow this guy at all, but obviously I guess people think Tekashi 69, you just associate him to hip hop because I guess he's making hip hop music, which in a sense sucks because it's interesting associate. I'm kind of at a loss of words because this guy is out there, and he came about way before his going to trial and everything, way before all of that. The man built up a crazy following. Obviously, it's for some reason it's skyrocketed right now.
It's huge.
But before any of that, he built up a crazy following. With a lot of young kids. Work at a school, you go different places. His music is blasted. I'll be in a gym with kids, and they say, "Hey, can you put on this Tekashi 69?" I'm like, "Yo, who? What?" Like, young kids, young people of this generation follow him and support him. Before any of this stuff happened with him and his trial and whatnot, he had that following. He already had people on him, whatever he was doing, music he was making. In this day and age, you got IG, you got Twitter, you got a Facebook, you Snapchat, so TikTok, so people could see everything you're doing from the moment your eyes open in your bed to everything you could do throughout the day. And with that, he had that crazy following. Now it's confusing to me. I don't know if it's confusing, but I just feel like as if because of this generation we're in, and he already had that crazy following, and to see him say I don't know how it went for sure, but he goes to jail. People feel any type of way about him. Even young kids are probably like, oh, he's a criminal or he's in jail. You can feel this type of way, but now he comes out of jail. And I seen bits and pieces of the IG live because it's out there. You're gonna come across it. The man looked like he didn't miss a beat. The man looked like he came out of jail. He right back to everything he was doing before he even stepped foot into court or jail or nothing. So you got these young kids who seeing it and they're like, oh, he's back? And he got this and that and the third, and he talking this and making music videos and out and about doing this and that. You got this whole generation of young kids who are seeing it like, whoa, he went to jail and he bounced back like that. Whoa, wow, that's crazy. Look at him. Look at that guy. A guy who I was following so crazy before jail. He's back and he's back like this. Wow. So I think sad, but he has the young generation, this current generation captivated because he had him before jail and court trial. He went to jail, whatever. He bounced back, and it seemed like he the same dude who went through all of that, talking and smacking whatever on IG, and he's right back in the same place he was before. I think some of that plays a part into why
definitely
it looks like what it is now.
That's a great perspective, a great point about the young generation, which I'm going to tap in on. But I want to get to a couple things Czar said. And Czar sees what I'm saying. He's saying he's calling hip hop's bluff. So for so long, people have been comfortable of having hip hop when they say I'll kill you, I'll shoot you, I'll take your girl, etc. Tekashi's antics are testing that for real. Yeah. So I mean, you got all these prior to Tekashi going to jail, he was beefing with a lot of quote unquote hood rappers. We're talking about the Chief Keefs, the YGs, all these, the Meek Mills, like saying, oh, we're going to put an end to Tekashi. But the more that they do that, the more he rises and the more popularity he gets, and he's trolling them. So it puts to me, hip hop that I love, I call myself a student of hip hop. It puts a black eye on my genre. Like you guys talk all this shit, but you got this kid over here running the game. Like it cannot be denied. He is running the game. And there's something you said about the young generation. They like
it's a lot of them, Marv. There's a lot of these kids right now who are buying up his millions of Instagram followers, his music downloads. They're buying it all up.
Hip hop is a young generation movement.
Exactly.
It's always has been. We're at the age, we're almost pushing 30. We're at the age where we do not control what's going to be hot in hip hop no more. We don't have that power. We had that power 10, 15 years ago when we pushed the J. Cole's, when we pushed the Kendrick Lamar's, and it's like, oh, okay, the Lil Waynes, these are the guys that we're pushing. These are the guys that we think is going to be hot. Before that, there was the Jay-Z's. It's the kids.
It moves with the generation.
It moves with the generation. We have no power of what's hot. Right now, you know, the trap and the thugs, the Gunna, the Lil Babies, they're hot right now. It's not because we pushed Lil Baby, Gunna and stuff. The younger generation pushed it to us, and we're listening to it because that's what's hot right now. We didn't have a say to make Gunna hot, Lil Baby hot, Tekashi 6ix9ine hot. We didn't have a say in that. That's the younger generation. Hip hop is just, out of all genres, it's so interesting how hip hop is. But out of all genres, hip hop is a young sport. It's for the younger cats to push the artists. Of course, we're still gonna listen to our old heads. We're gonna listen to our Jay-Z's. If Kendrick Lamar drops an album, we're gonna listen to it. When J. Cole drops a verse, we're gonna listen to it. But at the end of the day, they're not gonna be as hot as the next guy coming up because the young movement outweighs us by a lot.
Exactly. People who like us who still think Lil Wayne is the greatest rapper to ever do it, he dropped an album mixtape now. It's not going to drop like,
because even though we'll listen to it, we'll say it's hot. You and me be like, yo, this is fire.
It's not going to be like when the Carter 3 came out and them droughts and, you know, sorry for the wait.
Yeah, we were kids then.
So that's what I'm saying. The publicity and everything that Tekashi 6ix9ine is getting out, which is challenging the hip hop game. The hip hop game we know.
Right.
The hip hop game we know. But to these kids now and today who are following what he's doing, they're in awe. They're like, damn, wow, this is the guy. Oh man. Which is, to us, we could sit and say like, that's crazy because that's not how we grew up. But if you brought a 15-year-old kid in here right now and sat him down in the show, he probably would tell you like, yo, Tekashi's out and he's making them making all that again. Yo, we rocking with it. So
and so Derek says it's a young man's game, and that's why, that's why most rap careers don't last long. And I agree. That's just how hip hop is. We're still gonna listen to our Jada Kisses. We're still gonna listen to our Fabulous. But now when they drop, they're not going to do number like in other genres. Anyone who's 30 plus, if they drop an album, people are still gonna rush to it crazy.
Yeah, there'd be some rock and roll dudes about 45, 50 years old making rock albums, and excuse me, it's still one of the top things out there. But it's different in hip hop, man. It moves so quick.
Yeah, hip hop just moves fast, and I'm very interested. I want to stay in touch with this Tekashi 6ix9ine because it's only been a couple weeks that he's been out, or that he's been out physically showing his face. But I really want to know how far is he going to push the envelope with hip hop? Because even though we say it's a young man's game, there's still a lot of OGs out there. There's still a lot of OGs doing their thing. And how far they're gonna let this happen? Tekashi, as popular as he is, can still get got. He needs to be careful. He needs to be careful. The trolling and everything like that, calling out Snoop. That's his recent thing that I've seen.
What?
Calling out Snoop, calling Snoop a snitch, saying he's gonna expose Snoop, this, that, and the third. Like, you gotta be very careful, Tekashi.
That's interesting.
Tekashi's a dude, like, I saw his my prior job like 3-4 years ago, I was a mentor. I was a therapeutic mentor, and the kids used to show me Tekashi, and this is way before Tekashi was anything. Like, yo, who the hell is this guy? Like, I really had no idea who he was. He was just yelling, rainbow hair still, and I'm like, yo, you can't listen to this garbage. This guy's not gonna be anything. I promise you, maybe like in a snap, Tekashi just blew up
everywhere.
He blew up, and the trolling and this and that, and he got big, and we got to a point he's out of jail and he's right back to where he left off, and maybe even bigger, running the game, trolling, doing what he's doing. So it's very interesting in the hip hop realm. And even if you like him, you don't like him, it's something to just keep an eye on, just to see how it relates to the culture.
Man, we moving. The comments are still rocking. Again, probably a lot more we could talk about, but we got to keep pushing with our topics. We got, one last topic we want to touch upon real light. Again, we want to hear from you guys as well. Continue the comments. I see people on IG. I see people on YouTube. Hey, hit the like button. If you're watching, hit the like button. If you're on IG, we see you. Comment, follow us. It's Double M. Great conversation like this we have every week. And, like we always say, these conversations, these shows don't happen without you guys. So keep it going. So quarantine life, huh? Quarantine life, the pandemic happening right now with, COVID-19. But some places, Marv, are opening up. Some places are just going full-fledged. Yeah, we back. Let it go.
like it's not.
We back. We good. We back in business. Everybody go about your business. Go about it. Some places are doing it like that. Us here in Massachusetts, we're seeing it in a different light, where the governor has come out and said Massachusetts will open back up, but they're going to do it in a slow process with 4 different phases. And, I don't have the phases breakdown right here in front of me, but slowly but surely, things are gonna start opening back up. Small businesses.
What opens up phase 1?
Stu Marv, looking forward to this one.
You know what opens up phase 1? The barbershop.
Can't wait to have one show where I don't wear a hat, man. I can't take this.
I have to let the people know, man.
I ain't ready for this.
I had to let the people know, see the growth. Woo. I had a clean fade. I had to let them see the growth.
Yeah, man, but again, Massachusetts is going through this phase process where things are slowly start to opening up, man. We was having a conversation about this with another friend of ours, and I mean, I feel like, and I've seen and read in different places that just full fledged open back up. The cases of COVID-19 are still there and prominent, especially if you just open back up quickly. It hits them just like that
And that's
once again.
so scary.
Very
It's like,
scary.
we've been here for 2 months, and it's still there.
It's still there. It's still there. So, but I mean, again, I personally don't know the numbers fully, and have that data on me, but Massachusetts feels comfortable enough to start a slow process again. And right now, started today, yesterday. What's today? The 18th? Started yesterday, I believe. Phase one of opening up a few things here and there, and in a couple of weeks, phase two will come up with a couple more things open up. So, just a conversation of, is the way Massachusetts going about it out of all 50 states? I know different states are going to do different things. Is the way Massachusetts going about it the quote unquote right way to a slow process to really ease into it, instead of this whole just, hey, we feel comfortable, it's open, everybody back to doing, like down in Florida, beaches are back booming like it's nothing. Yeah. Massachusetts over here, like, look, step one, phase one, this and that opening. Step two, phase two, this and that. I like the slow process. I mean, yes, I want to be back.
I respect it. And, I like how in phases, they're not saying, okay, phase one is going to last exactly 2 weeks. They're going
to watch how things are going.
They're really testing to see, okay, maybe it might be 1 week. It might be 3 weeks. It might be 4 weeks, how long phase one was. We're going to see. We're going to get the numbers in and things like that. So I like how that's going. The crazy thing about all of this is nothing should be opened up right now. The reason things are opening up is due to finance. Financial, we're going down. And that's the only reason why there's like, all right, we got to start opening up again. That's the only reason that this is going. It's not because COVID is starting to go, the numbers of COVID-19 starting to go down and things. No, it's because it's all about finance. And that's the crazy thing about all of this. Whether Massachusetts is doing it right or doing it better than the next state, at the end of the day, they're only doing it because of the money. And that's wild.
That's what the world revolves around, right?
That is freaking wild that at the end of the day, they're putting our finance over our health. And, I don't know what to say to that after that. People got to work. People got to survive. And I understand it. It's just, I guess, with Massachusetts, we hope that, where we are at right now, we hope that wherever you guys are watching, you guys are safe as well, or listening to, you guys are safe. But we're just hoping that, with this slow progress, everyone continues to stay safe. And I don't want people to forget, like, this shit is gone. This is still here.
It's not gone at all. I mean, the thing about Massachusetts opening up in phase, they're not just opening up to just say, all right, people go back to doing X, Y, and Z after phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're opening up with different regulations to go about this. So it could be about the money, but I think in the same way they're opening up with these, they're going through these phases with things opening up, but having regulation in place. I respect it. They have regulations in place to try to still, at the same time, yes, it's not gone, but with these things opening up slowly, they want to try to minimize the spread, even during these phases taking place. And I mean, there's still stuff to do because, like you said, this virus is still present. It hasn't gone anywhere.
Like, there's some states that don't require masks.
Some states have, again, just said completely, F it, we're back. I think, what was he talking about? Houston?
Yeah.
Houston, Texas?
Houston's open for business.
Houston ready to rock for summer 2020. They're ready to rock. Which is like what Houston's doing and the people of Houston feel. Everybody feels that way. I don't think there's a single person on this earth, or especially in the United States, who wants to be on lockdown for the summer. Nobody does. But how bad do you want to be outside when there's lives at stake? Again, my birthday just passed. Did I want to be out and about with a bunch of people somewhere having a good time celebrating? Absolutely. But if you're telling me staying right here where I am now is the sacrifice that I need to make so that me, my people, family, friends, whoever can stay safe, healthy, alive, man, I'm here in my PJs, my socks tucked into my sweats. I don't care. It don't matter to me. Life is more important than trying to be at the hottest bar, the hottest club, or whatever.
You tell me I gotta be locked down all summer, but all my peoples are
Oh,
gonna be okay.
I'll take it. It's not fun to anybody, but I'll take it. So it's gonna be interesting to see how this phase this process goes with these phases. I mean,
personally, I go back to work June 1st, and I don't even work. Just to give you guys a you know what's going on right now. I go back to work June 1st, and I'm only working 2 days out of the week, and I can only be in the office with like 2 or 3 other people, and I can only work for 6 hours. And then the rest of the days I have to be working from home. So they're really like making it slow.
And that's the thing. I know what you said earlier about is revolved around money and whatnot, but at the same time, Massachusetts, with barbershops and small businesses, whatever the case may be, there's a lot of strict regulations in order that, yes, we're getting back to a slight sense of normalcy, but these regulations are also in order to help the situation as well. Like, only a certain number of people can be in the office, or you can only come in a certain days a week. It's not just full-fledged, okay, we're just going to open these places and they can go back to regulars. These places are going to open up, but here's how they need to operate on a day-to-day basis, which is completely, in my opinion, understandable and a certain way to do it.
Exactly, Daph. Daph said, they're limiting office capacities to 10%. Sure, I guess I'll take it. Tati said that Vegas is ready to risk it all. I can't even imagine how bad Vegas was suffering during this pandemic.
Oh my goodness,
because that's a place that depends on everything. Like, it depends everything on people, interaction, and money.
Yeah.
And they probably took a huge hit. Yeah. So Tati said each phase is loosely based around will last 3 weeks.
Yeah, they want to see how it goes.
Yep.
I mean, they want to see how it goes because, in a sense, for the next, I want to put a timetable on it, but I can't. But for the foreseeable future, the new norm is gonna be what these next possible phases could look like, in a sense, in terms of small amount of people in a workplace or whatnot. That's the norm moving forward, and I guess Massachusetts wants to, in a sense, get a visual on what that's gonna look like.
Just understanding, guys, that the shit's still here. It's still here. Try to avoid elder people as much as possible. Like, I don't even get in contact with my folks no more. I try to stay away from them just because I'm younger. I could have had it. I could have been exposed somehow. If I'm going back to work in June 1st and there's no vaccine, whatever it is, just be careful. Understand, that what's going on health wise. Try not to be around young babies, older people. Be smart. Everyone just be smart. Use common sense.
That's it. Take the proper precautions. That's it. Just take the proper precautions. I know. Again, people want to be out, and some people are ready to risk it. Even some people here in Massachusetts, while we go through this, some people want to live like this is Houston or Vegas.
Please no.
People want to live like that.
I'm seeing snaps. I have my cousin in Texas. I have my cousin in Dallas. I see snaps of him in restaurants, and it's so weird because I haven't seen a snap of a restaurant in so long. I'm looking like, oh my god, he's eating well at a restaurant, chilling. Like, we haven't seen that in a couple months over here.
Oh man, I mean, you just just be smart about it. The information out there about what it is. Protect yourself at all costs. I mean, I say this every show. I'm gonna continue to say it every show. My optimism remains high. My hope, my faith remains high that we're gonna come out of this. This ain't life. This not gonna be it. This can't be it. I refuse to believe this is what it is going to be. And it's a bump in the road right now. Usually people, go through hurdles and bumps in the roads, small things. but something to this scale, this magnitude of not just you, maybe your family, your friends, the whole world is dealing with this right now. So
Yeah, man. Like Daphne said it. I'm gonna keep myself at home. Know too many people that have lost loved ones. My condolences to those who have lost. I personally lost loved one during this pandemic, and the
me
only
too.
thing the only thing that hurts the most, I didn't lose them due to COVID, but the only thing that hurts, if I'm being real, is not being able to say goodbye, because we can't be in the service together, not being able to say, and that really hurts. So I know a lot of people are really going through it. I know a lot of people, this is a crisis. This is a real crisis for some who've lost jobs, who are trying to find any way to put food in their mouths weekly. And so, we don't take light of that at all. And we just hope that this is probably one of the best phases that we can go through, and we'll enter the new normal and see what that leads to us.
Yeah. I look forward to the day where we can have a double M, and this is not a topic that we gotta have any longer. I look forward to it. I don't know when that will be, but I believe that day will come, and we'll be able to enjoy, each other's presence, company, again. It'll happen. It'll happen. I believe it. I'm gonna keep saying it every time we talk about this. I believe it's coming. When, I don't know, but it's coming.
We'll get through it, man. We'll get through it. But everyone in the comments, man, everyone who's watching, if you haven't already, give us a like,
Give us a subscribe,
a
all of that.
subscribe, all of that good stuff. Appreciate everyone who hit us, everyone who's on here every week. Cheers to y'all. We just celebrated the mechanic's birthday. We celebrated another life. Try to find the little things to hold on to. Hang in there, everybody. We'll see what this phase comes out to be. Uh, this is another great episode of Double.
Great episode. Yo, these last two shows have been
Yeah.
been.
Yeah. Who said we need a studio? We do.
Hey,
We
Double
do
M
need
going
a
to bounce back on some wild stuff. Believe me, we had a lot in playing. We say this every show. We had a lot in store, a lot playing for 2020, and obviously this put a monkey wrench into the plans. But Double M will rise. We still here, but we'll rise even greater than where we are now for sure.
Big facts. Big facts. Any last words, Mike? Nice.
Just appreciation to everybody tuned in the comments. Again, this show doesn't run without y'all. So thank you for sure.
Thank you, guys. Have a great Tuesday night, and we'll see you guys next week.